Hello again. 2 British and 1 Irish national are amongst those who've been rescued from an ongoing operation against rebels in Palma in northern Mozambique. We're joined now by Meryl Knox. Her 40-year-old son, Adrian Nel, died in an attack by the militants. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us at what is clearly a very difficult time. Our condolences to you. I wonder if you could take us back and tell us what Adrian was doing in Mozambique.
Adrian was working as a contractor, helping to build an accommodation camp.
And he'd been there for a while, had he?
He had only been there since about the 8th of January.
Right, and obviously we know that rebels, the insurgents, have stormed this town of Palma, and Adrian was there, was he?
Yes, he was, and him and my husband and my youngest son were in a hotel called the Amarula, which was meant to be a safe place, waiting to be evacuated from Wednesday afternoon when the attack started.
Had they always been in the hotel before that, then?
No, not at all. They were staying in the accommodation camp that they were building not too far from the hotel.
And so what do you know of the attack that happened on Wednesday, this onslaught by the insurgents?
I just got news that there had been an attack, and then we couldn't get hold of anybody on the cell phones. Eventually, at 9 o'clock on Wednesday night, my husband managed to contact me via a satellite phone to let me know what was going on. And he said they were in this hotel, it was safe, and arrangements were going to be made for them to be evacuated.
So that was on Wednesday, and what subsequently happened?
Well, Thursday came and went. Thursday afternoon, we heard that the evacuations had started, and I think women and children were first being evacuated. And then obviously it only started late in the afternoon, and the helicopters couldn't fly at night. And then we heard there was horrific fighting going on, and it wasn't safe for any further evacuations.
So they were all in the hotel at this time still, were they?
Yes, I believe there were 190 people in the hotel from all different nationalities.
So that takes us to Thursday, and then what happened after that on Friday? That was the key day, wasn't it?
Yes, Friday they got word. The last thing I heard was at 9:30, my youngest son messaged me to tell me they're waiting to be evacuated. And that was the last we heard from them.
Who was going to help in this evacuation process? Do you know?
Well, it's been so difficult to find out what really was going on there. I managed to get onto a local WhatsApp group who did provide information. And they did then, I saw that there was a message for these guys because the evacuation by helicopter wasn't going to happen. The insurgents had surrounded the hotel, and the only chance they had of getting away was to do a convoy. So I believe it was a convoy.
Sorry, your family was in this convoy, is that right?
Yes. Yes.
And it was a large convoy, we're led to believe, a number of vehicles involved.
I believe so, yes. And apparently as they were or when they were driving out, unfortunately, the insurgents ambushed them and my son was shot.
Was he in the convoy? Were they all together, your family?
Yes. My husband, my youngest son, Adrian, and a friend were in the one car.
So your husband and son would have witnessed what happened?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
What was the first you learned about anything that had happened?
I learned on Friday night that people had been killed as they tried to leave the hotel. And we didn't hear who had been killed. So it was only on Saturday morning that I got news that unfortunately it was Adrian.
And what happened to your husband and other son? Were they wounded?
They weren't wounded. They managed to get away. I'm not too sure of the details. They are too traumatized to go through this right now. And they managed to get away. They were told to go and meet up at what's called the Lighthouse, I believe on the way to Tanzania, which is not too far up the road. And then they were also told that they need satellite phones to phone the army camp there to let them know, otherwise they're going to get shot at from there. So they decided to go somewhere else. I have an idea they may have gone into the bush somewhere and obviously just had to wait until they were rescued Saturday morning.
A great deal of uncertain time. You've lost one son and not knowing what's happening to the rest of your family.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's terrible when you hear this and you can't get confirmation of who's been killed or whether your family are safe or, in actual fact, whatever's happened there.
What's the current situation regarding your husband and son? Are you aware?
Yes, I am. I have spoken to my husband. My son is very traumatized, as is, I'm sure, my husband, but he's being very strong. And luckily, they were able to bring Adrian's body back to Pemba with them. So they're just waiting for that, all the paperwork to be done so we can get him back to South Africa.
Tell us about Adrian. Was he out there just wanting to help others, basically, as the rest of your family?
Adrian was a very joyful person. He brought love and kindness and joy to anyone and everybody he met. He has many, many friends all over the world. Relatives just love him to pieces. He's just the heart of the family. And like I said, a ray of sunshine. When Adrian walked in a room, you were automatically happy.
Clearly a very, very distressing time for you. There are people still, I gather, in the hotel waiting to be rescued now, and your thoughts would go out to them.
Absolutely. This is one of the reasons I decided to do interviews, was for the people that have relatives there, that they are still not hearing what's happened to them. They're still looking for their loved ones. And like I said, not much help is coming from the Mozambique side. And yeah, I just feel this whole thing could have been avoided. It's not like it's something out of the blue. This has happened close to Palma in the not too recent past. And the insurgents actually did send flyers out a little while ago to say that they were going to attack the town.
So what has gone wrong then, in your opinion?
Well, firstly, the Mozambican army, I believe, have been there to mostly protect the gas plant. And I don't think that they requested any other outside help. There is a private security company there that's contracted to them, and thank goodness for that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have anybody left there, because the helicopters had been going in and trying to get the insurgents to leave or to, to get rid of them.
Could this situation have been foreseen, therefore, do you believe? Or is it simply a matter of the insurgents suddenly taking over on one day?
No, it's definitely. I mean, it wasn't too many weeks ago. I think that they attacked a village about 20 kilometers away. And believe me, they make sure that they leave nobody unharmed.
What are your feelings towards the authorities at this painful time?
Well, I just feel that my son shouldn't have died. There should have been more help, and I believe the Mozambican army, for most of it, ran away, didn't try and protect them. And I just can't see how supposedly we were told there were 100 insurgents, that an army couldn't contain them.
If there's so much instability in the region, is it regarded, had it previously been regarded as safe and somewhere that Britons could go, people from different nationalities? We hear so many people from different countries have been caught up in this crisis.
Yeah, well, you know, with the big oil company, gas company there, Total, you should think that there are enough army and security personnel to protect us, along with all the people working around there.
Yet Total now, we know they have postponed their work, this huge gas facility. So what does that tell you?
Well, yes, that is that. I do believe that they had postponed it and told the Mozambican army to get the act together. And on the day the attack started, they signed an agreement to resume work.
If you've got one message for the Mozambican authorities, what would it be?
It would be, please, you should have actually had a better army. You should have actually called your neighbours for help, or the international community. Crimes against humanity have been committed here, horrific crimes against humanity, and also to your own Mozambican people. Why have you just let this to carry on for years?